So let's define fan fiction for those who may have wandered into the wrong course or those who haven't been adopted by a fandom and don't know what I'm talking about. Disclaimer, by the end of this course, a fandom may have adopted you. It happened to me. It's a good thing. Fan fiction is defined as so. Fan fiction or fan fiction, also abbreviated to fanfic, fic, or is a type of fictional text written by fans of any work of fiction where the author uses established characters, settings, and or other intellectual properties from an original creator as the basis of their writing. Fan fiction ranges from a couple of sentences to an entire novel, and fans can keep both the creator's characters and settings or add their own. Fan fiction is a form of fan labor.
What do you think you're doing? That fanfic isn't gonna write itself. Write! Write, or I drill your head. I'm trying. A hole in your head and get the fanfic out myself. I'm writing as fast as I can. Kylo Ren was muscular.
Fan fiction. So you've logged into your favorite fan fiction site, AO3, LiveJournal, fanfiction.net, fancafe.net. I'm thinking of them all on top of my head. Reddit, LiveJournal, AsianFanfics.com, Twitter, Tumblr, and you've selected the story that you want to turn into a fan fiction. Good. Now read it. But you're probably saying, I've already read it. If you've hosted it on AO3, LiveJournal, fanfiction, Wattpad, whatever, you've probably been reading it in a segmented format, which means that you read it in chapters. And not chapters like that you can flip through, chapters that you have to click. You know what I mean? And sometimes that segmented form can distract from the overall work. If you're lucky, every time that you post a chapter, you're bombarded with comments or not. And that too is distracting. When you read a book, you don't get comments or kudos or hearts at the end of it. You just flip to the next chapter. And also, you want the story to be super fresh in your mind, right? Like, there isn't a fresh section of your mind. But what there probably is, but wherever it is, that's where you want your story to be. Fresh, like clouds. I know most sites offer a download or a one-page reading option. Use it. Download if possible. 9 times out of 10, this format is going to come to you in the form of a PDF. You can simply copy and paste this PDF into a Word document of your choice, or you can find something like a PDF converter. I have Adobe, and when I choose to pay for it, it has a PDF to Word converter into it. On the month that I don't pay, I'll go to some place like simplypdf.com, plug that bad boy in, and if your favorite site does not have this option, I can't think of any that doesn't, but if your favorite site does not have this option, a little bit more labor. You're going to go to each chapter, edit, copy, paste into a Word doc. Next chapter, edit, copy and paste into a Word doc. Might take you, when I had to do it, because I was not aware of the download or one-page option, it took me an hour. But then again, it was like a 24-chapter fic. So what would have been super smart of me to do was to actually go to the Word file that I had originally typed it in and done it that way. But sometimes we make changes inside of the fan fiction editor, so that's not as reliable. But if you don't do that and you have your original files, open those bad boys up. Whatever the process, you want to take a whole bunch of stuff and compile it into one file. Now, some of you fancy pants have Scrivener. Actually, I applaud you, because if I had known way back that Scrivener was a thing when I was doing fan fiction, I would have been writing fan fiction from jump in Scrivener. Now, for those who don't know what Scrivener is a word processing document that is made specifically for authors and writers. It offers chapters, notes, character. It offers a lot of things. It's like crazy how much it gives you. It does cost, but once you get all of those chapters written and all of your notes taken care, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I'm underselling it. But once you get all of that taken care of, Scrivener actually has a compile function at the very top. You click it, you can format it into a PDF, paperback novel, ebook. So now it's time to clean up your document and prepare for all the work you're about to do. First thing I do is change the font. Like, for instance, AO3 Archive of Your Own, they use Lucida Grand. And if you're used to reading your fics in Lucida Grand, you want to use something that's not Lucida Grand. You want it to look fresh, fresh, fresh. I personally, because I once had dreams of being a screenwriter, I'll use New Courier or Courier New, whatever it's called, and whatever works for you. I know someone who converts all of their stuff into Comic Sans. Once you got your font changed, you actually want to clear the formatting on your fic. I tend to overuse italics. And it can change the way, like when we're writing and we use italics, we in our heads think that this word should be said this way, or if it moderates the flow of a sentence. And sometimes when people read that, they don't get the same thought that's in your head. So what you want to do is clear it out so that when you go back through it, you're absolutely sure you wanted to put emphasis on the words that you put emphasis on. The real deal is that we want to start as close as possible to scratch. Also double space it. I know it's going to look weird because now you're thinking like, oh God, 12th grade creative writing class. But look, there's going to be so much editing done to this, because I also encourage you to print this once you get this together, but that's later. There's going to be so much editing to this that if you try to edit this single space, I promise you're going to take your manuscript and set it on fire. Single space editing was directly created by Satan, and Satan is a trickster. I don't know. So now you want to work through each chapter and see if it can stand as a chapter. And by that, I mean sometimes we update our fanfics because our fanfic readers are standing outside of our proverbial e-houses with pitchforks and fires demanding an update. And so that our houses don't burn down, we do it. And outside of that fandom pressure, we want to make sure that that chapter is a full chapter, or to see if it needs to be added to a preceding or proceeding chapter to make it a complete thing. Because remember, writing is but mostly about story beats and structure. You want to make sure your words, your sentences, your paragraphs, your chapters, and your story arcs make sense comprehensively. And if it isn't, don't worry. Just mark it, highlight it, make it a different font, make it red, size 45, whatever you have to do, just mark it, but don't touch anything yet. All we're doing is marking it. Better yet, if you have Word or Open Document, Apache Open Document, Scrivener, Google Docs, I think even Word has an online word processor. Any one of those have a comment feature, so you can highlight the chapter, add a comment saying incomplete, needs work, so that when you go back through, you know. Now here's the fun part. After you've gone through each chapter and you've made your notes, tuck it away. Put it in the drawer, close that drawer, walk away. 2 weeks minimum. I know that feels like a lot of time, but you're going to hear this a lot. And it is crucial that you take these breaks after revisions. This is the thing, like if you spend too much time with your significant other, you start to not notice the flaws, like the fact that they use regular thread to floss, or that they warm their socks in the oven. These things happen when you're too close to something that you love. You have to take a step back to see all of the flaws in it, and you have to do the same thing with your writing. You have to tuck that bad boy away. I had to put a lock on mine because I was that over it. So yeah, step away. Don't look at it. You're gonna have to think about it, but don't look at it. Don't go back, don't revise, don't do anything. Let the baby rest. Assignment. This is an opportunity to take a moment or 100 if your baby's still fresh in your mind without looking at it, and backwards outline your work. Everything I'm saying sounds crazy, but it works. But we're talking about just skeleton outline, just the major parts of your stories. You want your story beats, your and thens of your story. George walked into a closet and then he became a superhero, and then he had to fight the goobly gum peepomp monster, and then he dies. Those are story beats. Trust me, this is going to be a gigantic help when you do your big old swapperoo on your fic. And to fill up this time while we're waiting our 2 weeks, sometimes months, I don't know, whatever feels comfortable to you, pick up a book. The other thing about writing is writers read a lot. I read every night. Sometimes I read in the middle of the day. Sometimes I'll stop writing to read. What you want to do is not take a book you necessarily love, but take a book that is close to your writing style. A book that inspired you, or the book that made you want to write in the first place. Take that book and make sweet, passionate, no, I'm kidding. Take that book and just read a couple of chapters. Take your favorite passages and write them down, put them somewhere you can see. Take your favorite sentence and break it down. Look up quotes from your favorite author about this book, synopsises, all of that. You want to take a look at this whole book from a very close view and then from a very far away view. Personal story is that when I am, depending on what kind of writing I'm doing, when I am struggling, I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll start reading. One of my favorite books right now is N.K. Jemison's Broken Earth trilogy, and grounds me. It tells me that I'm doing something right, that there's a reason that I'm writing, and that if I keep doing this, I'll get better. One day I could write as well as N.K. Jemisin. So find your book and keep it close. If you don't have a book, you can go to this website called Yassive. So put in a book, you don't even have to read this book. Put in a book that you think you might like. Put it in there, press enter, watch that bad boy explode. It's really crazy. It's like the matrix of books. I don't know how it works. I don't know the math. I don't know the algorithms, but I use it all the time. Whenever I'm looking for a book, I plug a book in, and poof! A poof.